Howdy everybody in YouTube land. What we have in front of us today is yet another Macintosh Plus. Now, as far as I'm aware of, there's nothing special about this Plus. This is the non-platinum one. This is the beige. But it's the camera's compensating for it, but it's extremely yellow, like dehydrated piss yellow. It's so bad. But anyways, there's like I said, there's nothing special about it. I forget exactly where this came from. I think this was one I took on trade with an SE many moons ago. It's not in the best of shape, but it's actually not in the worst of shape. The cabinet itself needs a bit of retrobrite, and that's kind of why I'm making this video, because there's already a million different pluses on the internet. But I think what I want to do is I want to experiment with some retrobriting. A little bit of corrosion in there, you know, but nothing too crazy serious. I can clean that up. I got to get a capacitor list together on that, get the reefers out, you know, the works. There's some marks on here. What? Someone named RJ marked that. I don't know who that is. And the vent area is like the yellowest out of all of it. And I think why that is because this is where all the heat accumulates from the flyback. So it accelerates the yellowing of the plastic. Anyway, so I want to try to retrobrite this thing. And I've never done retrobrite before. So this is going to be an experiment. And I want to try a new style of retrobriting called vapor brighting. So it'll be interesting how that turns out. But before I can do that, I have to get this all the stuff out of the chassis completely in order to do that. The only downside to this thing, there's a big scratch on the CRT right there. But whatever, it is what it is. It's really dusty and dirty inside here. But anyways, before you can retrobrite something like this, you have to completely clean it up. We got to get the Apple logo's trashed anyway, so I'm going to remove that. I got some others somewhere. I gotta find them. But yeah, the Apple logo has to be removed, and this whole thing has to be completely cleaned up. It's got to be completely rid of all dirt and debris, grime, all that stuff before it goes in there, because otherwise the grime and marks will shield the retrobrite process from working, supposedly, but we'll see. Yeah. Alright, so let's get this guy apart and see what we got going on inside. Alright, now that we got the rear bucket off, we can get a closer look at what we see inside, and as far as I can tell, nothing stands out that needs immediate attention. Some of these capacitors look a little funny, but it still has all the original caps. This board's never been worked on before because it still has the old foam tape on there. So that has never been removed. So this board's never been worked on. And I'm hearing metal things moving around inside. We got to figure out what's going on with that. But other than that, I don't see anything crazily important going on here. I need to remove that. So that's now out of the way. There's some rust on the ports. Like, this thing has seen some high moisture content. You can see it here too, like it was left out in the barn for a while. There's also there's a gap in the CRT there where this is a little bit warped. And I've noticed this debris coming out of the unit itself, which is plastic shavings. There's some over there. Not sure where they're coming from, but it's possible they're coming out of these standoffs because I don't see any threads in there anymore. And it might be because someone ripped those out trying to get this apart before me. Yeah. That's a problem. Not the end of the world, though. But, alright, more importantly, I want to get this further apart, make sure there's nothing hidden inside here that's going to cause any explosions or anything like that. Does this have reefas? Yes, it does. It has a reef that needs to be removed, in fact. Um, yeah, so let's get this all the way apart because the primary focus of this video really is I want to experiment with retrobrighting. Motherboard's removed. Looks like it's got full 4 megabytes of RAM installed. Probably from the factory because there's been no jumpers or anything soldered over there, so that's cool. I definitely want to put a diode in there to increase the, or turn on the termination power for BlueSCSI to work. But yeah, the board's there. Looks clean. Nothing going on there. And then what we have, whoa, there's a piece of metal in here. I don't know where that came from. Oh, you know what? I know exactly where that came from. Came from the floppy drive. That covers the head, so we got to pull the floppy drive out and take a look at that. Yeah, so got a lot of little things going on there. It's a good thing I didn't try to plug it in and power it on, because if that was laying on the logic board, that would have been all kinds of bad. Everything has been removed. Looking at the main board again, nothing of significance standing out. Now these purple caps are kind of known for being a problem, at least on the older stuff. I don't know about this era, but yeah, everything else looks to be in pretty good condition. Got some dead bugs and things in the plastic, but that's not a big deal. So yeah, man, that is yellow. You can just see how yellow it is. But alright, so now we're going to clean that up. We're going to clean the bucket up, and we're going to get prepared for retrobrighting. In this case, vapor brighting. You can kind of see what the original color was. It's crazy to think about. Anyway, so before we can actually begin the retrobrite process, this stuff has to be extremely clean or it's going to create splotching. So we got to make sure we get this thing squeaky clean, even with the magic eraser if we have to. All right, well, everything is about as prepped as it's going to be at this point. So the writing is not really coming off even with alcohol, but it is what it is. So I got the bucket prepped. I got the face prepped. Unfortunately, the forecast looks like we're going to get clouds. But you know what? We'll see what happens anyways. This is probably going to need multiple days of exposure anyways. So, alright. I think we're ready to get prepared for retrobrighting. Actually, I don't think that's happening this weekend. Oh, there goes my plans. Well, hopefully we get enough sun today. So what I've done is there's just a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, 12% at the bottom. And then I have the bucket and, well, I kind of have the face just laying there. I don't really care so much. This is just a test unit anyways. So the face is there, but the bucket is lifted up a little bit. So hopefully we have enough sun. It's supposed to be 90 degrees today. So the sun is trying to peek out. But, you know, the thing is I'm fighting all these trees, which is a problem in this area. So I'm hoping that there's going to be enough sun within the next day or two for that thing to condense and vapor bright. But we shall see. So when I put the face in there, I put it on the bottom into the solution on purpose because at least the bottom can't be seen physically. But we'll see if it condenses and works. So I don't have a whole lot of high hopes, but I've seen other people do it, so we'll see what happens. So it's been out here for a couple hours now. The thing is this is supposed to be condensing, and it's not. And I've noticed this uses a foam gasket and not a rubber gasket, so that makes me wonder if it's just not, this bin isn't sealing very well. So I don't think this method is gonna work, unfortunately. I'm trying it though, but it looks like it's condensing under the bin more than it is what's inside the bin. But You don't know until you try, right? So that's what we're doing. But as far as I can tell, we're not getting very far. Well, it's been 6 hours so far, almost 7. And, well, it's definitely, it's working. I still don't know how well yet, but well, we'll probably have to give that about 2 more days at least, and that might be all right. All right, so here we are the next morning. So it's been exactly 24 hours since I sat this thing out. So I want to see. Now, there was no sun overnight, so nothing was going to happen overnight, but the condensation will be there. Let's see what we got. Wow. It's impressive. Wow. All right, well, now I'm going to let it go throughout today because it's fully condensed. Because one thing I noticed that this thing did, because I checked it last night, which in the video it looks like it happened 5 minutes ago, but I checked it last night before the sun went down. There was no condensation and it was still yellow. But now it's sat overnight, there's condensation inside the container, and there you go. So we need the varying temperatures for vapor brighting to work, because you need the sun to get it hot and to have the reaction, right? But you need the night for it to actually condense. Now it's condensed and it's no longer yellow. So the sides are a little bit yellow, but it's actually pretty good. So let me go check the battery door. Huh, battery door looks good too. So yeah, looks like we've got no clouds this morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, so we still have a long ways to go before the sun gets back. It'll be 10:30 before it gets back here. It'll be 9 when it gets back here. So I suppose what I'm saying is the lesson to be learned here is you need to start the condensation process first before the sun will do anything. Because like I said, this thing was out in 8 hours, 9 hours of sunlight, and it was still yellow as the sun was going down. But then this morning it's nice and white. So that tells me that, but it also got cool last night, so it condensed. So I'm thinking what I want to do, another experiment I want to do is I want to put it in like 2 hours of sunlight, like bring it out here at 11 a.m. and then 1 p.m. rolls around, it's nice and hot from the sun. Take it inside, let it cool down in the air conditioning, and actually start the condensation process. Because that's the trick here. We need to start the condensation process before the sunlight will actually do anything. Because there's no hydrogen peroxide buildup inside the box like there is now. So that's what we need to do. I decided to take a bucket out of the Retrobrite. The face needs more work, but I took the bucket out and you can see the difference. You remember how yellow that was. This is the control. That's definitely a shade lighter. This is the top side. Even the top side is much lighter now. I mean, this is still yellowed, so that could use some additional treatment, but honestly, it's not bad. I mean, it's even matching with the label. This was the side that was facing up towards the sun, though, so it's going to be brighter. I can see a shade difference already between the two. But, anyways, because this is where all the condensation happened compared to this, but that's not bad, because here's the other beige plus right next to it. You can, yeah, definitely. And there's a platinum plus, which you can see a huge difference, but yeah, that's crazy to think about. The face, on the other hand, is still a bit yellowed, as we can see. it's a little bit brighter down here than the rest of it because that's where it was laying in the solution. So, but yeah, my goal is to just go ahead and try to do some more. Now, since I don't have the bucket in here, there's less surface area, plus there's that little hole in the middle, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest of this old peroxide in, because this peroxide is from 2020, and this stuff degrades with time, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the rest of this in here. And let this stuff go for a little bit. I don't need any splotching, so we're just gonna, this is the 2% stuff, so it shouldn't burn my finger. Don't put your finger in the stuff down there, because it's not 2%, it's 12%, so yeah. Anyways, wow. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely tell, because there's the original color. It's still yellowed, but it ain't like it was, so we'll go ahead and let this go for another day. Hopefully it gets better, because that was one of the most yellowed examples I had. Alright, so now that we have the case retrobrighted and sitting in the floor, which came out really well, it's time to start working on the rest of this. So what I need to do now is get a capacitor list together on this board and start getting them ordered, because we've got some issues, as we can see here. So we definitely need to attack this situation head on. Now I gotta get this off, which is easier said than done because of how they've got this foam tape in here. Yeah, I gotta get some new foam tape. Foam tape. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Right. Fine. I'm surprised how sticky this stuff is after all these years. Okay, so the joys begin about finding capacitors, because I have to go through here and figure out, okay, well, 100 UF, 200 volt, and then get the sizes and determine if it matches up with what will fit in there, you know, the whole spiel. So that's what we're going to do. Now that my capacitors have finally arrived, we can go ahead and get all of the capacitors replaced on this analog board, because they need it, especially with what we got going on down there. So, all right, without further ado, let's get all that done. And also, we need to actually attack this with some white vinegar too, but not a big deal. All right, time for a recapicide. here it is. So all of the capacitors have been replaced. I had to do a rig here to make that work, but it is what it is. This broke on me by accident, so I gotta be careful with that. But capacitors have been replaced. The known trouble spots were completely removed and resoldered. And of course, these two headers were deoxid cleaned and all of that stuff. So this thing should be ready to go. Now, this sucker did have a few leaky capacitors or problematic caps. Like this one here was one of them. I mean, it's very gooey from, but you can see it bloated. So that was one. But then there's another one in here. The time-lapse video is so fast you can't really tell what's going on. But there's another one here. Where is it? Where'd it go? Right here. This is the 10 mic 160 volt. But you can see a little bulge coming right on the bottom of it. So she's ready to go. And one of these axials was leaking too, and you can see corrosion on that guy. That's yeah, these guys are done. They're done. These are always bad. These purples, they're known as purple pissers in the 70s electronics stuff. So they all had to go. But that's been taken care of now. So really, it's a matter of getting the analog board back together. But we've got to figure out now the floppy drive and, all the general other service stuff. Next thing we need to do is service the floppy drive. Now, I just took the drive out, and I can tell this thing was stored in a very high humidity environment. I don't know if it was left in a barn in its former life or what, but it's definitely got issues. I don't know, we'll see. So this drive here is going to need the full service like they all do, but at the same time, these little micro switches, you got to pop them open a tiny bit on one side. Don't take them all the way out, because if you do, you're going to lose the contacts and you'll never get it back together. But you got to crack it open just a tiny bit and get some deoxid in there and clean it out, because these switches get intermittent after a while on these 800K drives. But yeah, this has got a lot of this surface rust everywhere. It won't hurt anything. It's kind of unsightly, but at least there's no battery bombs or anything like that. But yeah, it's kind of gross. Now this drive's a little bit interesting. I've not quite seen this particular setup before where the reed switch is on top. So that's a new one for me. Now, that's what I was curious about, because I thought I saw that little piece of metal floating around inside. Well, that's why, because it goes right here. So I've got to glue that back on. Not that big of a deal. I can fix that, but yeah, this drive's going to come apart and get a little bit redone, because it looks like I've already greased this thing, or someone has. But the thing is, it was already tripped out, so I don't know. There's issues going on here. I need to take care of it. Actually, now that I got it all apart, I don't like the look of this drive. You can see all the rust on the spindle. And you can see right here where it actually sat like that for the longest time. So, I don't see anything that stands out, that would cause me a severe issue, but I just don't like the way this looks. Now, someone was already in here to try to re-lube this stuff, because this stuff is still very good. And it's not, there's no drag or anything, so I'm going to leave that. But I did take the motor apart, and sure enough, the eject gear was crumbled, so that had to come out. So someone probably worked on this thing and it munched the eject gear and they gave up. So that is likely what happened here. But who knows how long ago this was, because I've had this machine for 7 years, 8 years. I don't remember. Because I got it on a trade deal for an SE. Because I set up an SE for the kid, got it working, and then he gave me this thing on trade. So it was probably his first learning experience, which there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I got to clean all this up and get it right. Now that the floppy drive has been taken care of, we need to look at the motherboard. Now, I'm looking at this board. Besides being a little bit dusty, this thing has definitely seen some moisture issues for sure. I mean, if it wasn't evidenced by that fact, it's definitely evidenced by this fact. So it was stored very badly. Anyways, so I want to clean this up a little bit, but more importantly, in order to make this Mac infinitely more useful in the modern world, we need to do one little modification to this board, and that is right here. We need to actually put a Schottky barrier diode in there to provide termination power on this SCSI port so we can power something like a BlueSCSI. Because this has no internal SCSI connector. You can't just put a hard drive in this. Now, you could just do an adapter board or something, but by its stock nature, you can't plug a SCSI device into this thing. But you can use the SCSI port. Now, BlueSCSI is powered off the termination power by default, so we must provide that, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to modify the circuit board a little bit and just add that diode in there to provide termination power. Now that we have the motherboard done, it's time to start reassembling this thing. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if the camera, it's probably not coming too well in the camera, but the face and the bucket are slightly different tones. And I think the reason what happened was when I was using the Vaporbrite method, I had this kind of leaning on its side, so it either got more sun, or from what I saw, this had a lot more condensate on it. And I think the condensate bleached the plastic a little bit. You can just tell. So there's a difference in color shade here. But you know what? It's better than what it was before, because what it was before was extremely orange. So it actually worked fairly amazing. And it's not supposed to be pearly white anyways, because this is the beige version, not the platinum version. So it's not supposed to be that color. It's kind of bleached a little bit, but not like it matters a whole lot. I mean, the plastic's already kind of broken there anyway, so I'm not looking for perfect, just decent. So time to get this guy put back together. Time to test the CRT to see what health it's in, and that's quite amazing. It's testing like a new one, because new CRTs are basically at the same point. So this thing, it has a little bit of burn, so I know it's got hours on it, but it still has excellent emissions, so that's a good sign. Alright, we are loosely put back together. The shield and all that stuff's not on yet, but it's now or never. It's either going to work or it's going to explode, Canuters. We're going to find out. Whoa, that was loud. Alright, do I have a picture? Yes, I do. It gets pretty dang bright, too, so let me cut that down. Looks like it's testing RAM. You can tell as this works its way up little by little. Okay, oh, I got the CRT in there fairly well. So here we go. It's making a funny noise. You can hear clicking in the speaker. See if it reboots. Yeah. It's rebooting. So it is working. Alright. Let's check the eject, which it's going to spit this out because it's a full 1.4 meg disk. Okay, that works. It's not going to boot from that one anyways because it's a high density disk, but it should boot from this one. So let's try that. Nice. All these things need is just a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of maintenance, and then if they're old enough, some caps, and it's good to go. So it's working perfectly fine. One thing I will say, though, is I definitely need to do some work with the focus. It's kind of, well, the camera's overcompensating a little bit, but bring the brightness down a hair. But other than that, it's working fine. Is the yoke. It's a little bit tilted, and it's not the yoke that's tilted. It's when I put the CRT in, you can't get it exactly right because there's some play in it. So if you don't put the picture tube in exactly the way it came out, you're going to get this. So the only way to fix that is to crack the yoke loose and adjust it a little bit. But that's not a big deal. I just wanted to make sure the rest of the machine works, and it looks like it is. So now I've got to get in there and adjust the focus. But in order to do that, I got to bring some stuff on the screen. And I can't do that yet until I get the keyboard and mouse hooked up. So yeah, one thing at a time. So the way you have to adjust the focus on these is you're never going to get it 100% perfect in the corners with it being perfect in the middle and vice versa. And the reason why that is because this analog board does not have a dynamic focus circuit. What that actually means is with dynamic focus, the way it works is it works on a parabola where the horizontal frequency will it's in sync with the horizontal frequency so that the focus voltage will adjust based on where the beam is over a parabola. And there's a circuit that does that. Well, this does not have that. So the way it has to work is you have to adjust this thing where you get the focus is somewhere in the middle. Like if I adjust it, it'll blur it really bad in the corners, and I can get the corners perfectly sharp, but then it blurs really bad in the middle. So what I have to do is I have to make it almost like an even blurry, where it's clear in the corners. It's just as blurry in the corners as it is in the middle. So it's somewhere in the middle. And that's where we are, like right there. So that's good enough. It's going to blurify when you turn the brightness up because you're driving the CRT basically hard in the realm of, yeah, so we have to adjust that. So that's what we're going to do. It's somewhere like that. And that's certainly better than what we had. I mean, I turned the brightness down so you can see it, but that's certainly much better than what we had before. So we are good to go. All 4 megs of RAM are seen. So this thing is fully working. And the way this thing types is pretty good. I like the way that sounds. But yeah, this is all good to go. I need to plug a BlueSCSI in there and make sure that works. So yeah, let me do that. Alright, so I got a BlueSCSI installed. And we got power. So here we go. Hopefully it works. Oh, that's not good. Oh, hello. Yeah, I had to reset the PRAM. So, oh yeah, you know what? I think that's right. These BlueSCSI images have to be set up a very specific way for the Macintosh Plus because it has a buggy implementation of the SCSI disk manager in ROM, and a lot of the disk drivers aren't compatible. So that might be what my problem is. But at least it's seeing it. Because if it wasn't seeing it, then it wouldn't work. Let me try my V2, because that's the V1. I don't know what's on that SD card. I really don't. So let me try my V2 and see what it does. Okay, it sees it. See what my V2 does. Maybe? Oh, yeah, that's right. This has 4 megs of RAM. That test takes forever on a Plus. No, nothing. But it's asking, or well, it's negotiating with the BlueSCSI. So, yeah, that's all it is. I just don't have the right image. But Anyways, actually, I have an HD20 I can test because I don't remember if it's any good. So let me pull out my HD20. Let's fire up this big honking thing because I don't know if it actually works. It's spinning. Hey, I got a ready light. Question is, will it boot from it? Because honestly, I do not know what's on this hard drive. I don't even know if it works. So you know what? We about to find out. And I think the Plus has HD20 support in ROM. I think so. Let's find out. It does. But it's dead. Yeah, I had a feeling that sucker was gone. Huh. Nice little random pixel. Oh yeah, she's definitely gone. That drive is done. Well, hey, we gave it a shot. So I definitely have to get a BlueSCSI image all set up, but that drive is toast. And a lot of these are by now. They're just kind of known for the Rodime drive inside there going bad. Strong hazard a guess that hard drive does not work. I booted it up off the floppy with this thing connected. It blinked for a little bit and it does that. So yeah, and you know, that's not all that uncommon. I think these drives actually need a proper low-level format because of magnetic fade. But I don't know if the HD20 setup utility will actually format that drive in a way where you can set the interleave and all of that, which is important for this setup. And it's the same problem with the mini scribe hard drives, the early SCSI drives, because they lose their low level formatting over time and it starts generating errors and not readable and stuff like that. But if you can actually do a proper surface level, low level format, it would work fine. But yeah, anyways, that's where we are with this. Let's make this a little bit juicier of a video. Let's pop open this HD20 and find out what's going on. All right, so this thing is dusty as can be, but I got it apart now. Not without breaking this clip, which I had to glue back on because I didn't realize there's a clip there. I've never taken one of these apart before. So, anyways, we're back together. Let's see what happens. Oh, hard drive's not spinning. That noise I was hearing was just the fan. Alright, there's our issue. The motor is seized. Well, at least now we know what we have to do to try to solve this problem. And it's likely stiction, because this thing hasn't been used in I don't know how many years. So it's probably frozen. So we're going to have to do a little bit of work with that to try to free that up. I decided to pop the power supply cage open to see what we got going on. And I'm not seeing anything, any evidence of puking. This kind of predates it a little bit anyways. Not to say these capacitors need changed or not, I'm not sure, but I'm inclined to just leave them for now because we don't even know if that drive is any good. So I'm just going to leave that alone. And we will move on to the physical hard drive itself. Alright, I got the board removed. And I was looking at a Curious Mark video, and he had one of these that blew up, which is strange. I've never seen it happen before. But anything's possible. So I got the board removed. Oh yeah. This thing is seized. Yeah, I can't even move that. So that means I need to take the lid off and check the heads to make sure the heads aren't stuck to the platter. Because if they are, I will rip those heads completely off. And at that point, this drive has no chance of ever working. So that has to be taken care of. Couldn't hold the camera and talk at the same time with the lid open for obvious reasons, but yeah, the heads were definitely stuck to the platter, so I got them freed up now. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I know if I would have tried to spin the disc down here, it would have made it worse, because I had to like work the heads and the platter at the same time to try to free them up. So we'll get this drive back together real quick, and then we're gonna see what happens. All right, so here we go. Again, everything's all buttoned up. So let's see. Yay, it's online. It passed the self-test. You know, it kind of helps if it can spin. So I think what it is these drives just need exercised a bit. You kind of have to use these. You can't let them sit. So makes sense. All right, I'm going to let this run for a bit. Then we're going to hook this back up to the machine and then see what happens. Okay, before I put that lid on and break any more clips, let's try this again. Here we go. Of course, now it's got to test the RAM because it's got 4 megs, so it takes 15,000 years. But you know, hopefully it starts up. We'll see. Maybe. I'll pause. Oh, there it goes. So the drive is working. Let me turn that brightness down because it's too bright. Wow, the drive is working. That's nice. Here's a little tool. Super spool. I don't know what that is. There's a lot of cool stuff on this drive. I need to back it up. Somehow. See, this gets logistically complicated because I got to figure out how to get that onto... I'm probably going to need a BlueSCSI with a blank image. And then a boot disk or something, and then copy it from A to B. I don't know. We got to figure that out. What is this running? 6.1 or 6.0.2. Yeah, this has got all kinds of stuff on it. What's Suitcase 2? Huh. Yeah, I don't... Okay. It's all good. Very, very cool. Modified 1949, created 1904. So yeah, this hard drive was reformatted sometime in the past. So yes, it works. The hard drive is working. Nice. So I need to figure out how to back this up. So let me think about that for a minute. All right, I was able to get that copied over to the BlueSCSI with a 20 megabyte image on the BlueSCSI. So that was a rigmarole to get working too, because the Plus doesn't use the same SCSI implementation as everything else does. So hopefully it boots. I'm getting ready to try that now. At least. Well, we're going to try anyways. Maybe. If it starts. There we go. Here we go. It's starting up now. Wow, that's so much faster. Holy crap, Jiminy Cricket. It's a lot faster than that HD20. But yes, it's working. I got it backed up. And the reason why I wanted to back it up, because there's a lot of cool little tools in here. Like desk accessories, chooser. Actually, I have a lot less now than... Yeah, huh. So it backed up, but it didn't back up 100%. Interesting. Okay. I gotta figure out why that is, because there's a lot less here. And I think the reason why that is... Let's see. I think this is why. Yeah, there's a lot of cool little stuff on here. But, yeah. It's done. Everything's all good. I got everything saved, so... That's a nice little tool. Suitcases. Let's open a suitcase. Let's see. Let's open up font case. Okay, so we're done. There we go. Yeah, so there's a bunch of fonts and stuff too, but anyways. Yeah, there it is. We're good now. There's a lot of cool little things in here that's part of this, so... Anyways, it's all saved. We're all good to go. And I can go ahead and put this back together because it's fully operational. So, that's it for this Macintosh Plus. It's retrobrighted. Everything's all good, so we can move on to the next one. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have one. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching.